A small coal crew entered a dry ridge outside a forgotten rail spur, living on beans, hard bread, and the hope of steady winter pay. The work was ordinary until their picks broke into a hidden pocket of hollow space deep under the hill.
Strange marks in the dust, carvings in pale stone, air that hadn't moved in ages. That night, the ground began tapping from below the bunkhouse floor. Whatever lived beneath that ridge was not sleeping anymore.
Before we continue, please leave a like and comment where you're watching from. It helps the channel. Thanks.
I still remember the taste of coal dust on my tongue that winter in 1906. It coated my mouth no matter how much water I drank. We were 30 miles outside a small Nevada camp that doesn't exist anymore. Men called it Dry Camp Number 3, just a strip of canvas tents and thin walls shaking in the wind. I had come from Utah looking for steady pay. The company manager, a short man named Briggs, said we'd be rich in a year. He always smiled when he said it, though I never saw him go down into the shafts.
There were 6 of us. Connolly, a tall Irishman who hummed while he worked. Alvarez, a Mexican laborer who said this coal smelled sour. Sparrow, a boy of 16 who lied about his age. And the Ward brothers, Eli and Thomas, quiet men, broad shoulders. Our days were simple. Rise before dawn, eat, walk the track to the main drift. But it was Alvarez who first sensed it.
One evening, Alvarez sat on his bunk, boots off, staring at the floorboards. He said the hill wasn't solid. Old rock with holes, he said. Empty places. Connolly laughed. But Sparrow, he listened with a face too serious for a boy his age. 2 days later, we hit the first pocket. We were 100 yards in. The air had grown heavy, damp. My pick struck the face, and the sound changed. A hollow thud. Then the rock gave way. Cold air rushed over my hands, stale air, confined for centuries. We stopped. The only sound was the hiss of our lamps and the slow drip of water. Connolly held his lamp to the hole. Darkness, he whispered, deeper than the tunnel.
Briggs arrived in a clean shirt. He didn't look scared. He looked greedy. He wanted a survey. He sent me, Connolly, and Thomas Ward through the gap. We squeezed through. The chamber on the other side was low, packed earth, curved walls. But in the center stood a pillar, not coal. Pale stone, smooth, hard, covered in shallow lines, a pattern I didn't recognize. Thomas touched it. Not natural, he said. I walked around the pillar and found a narrow passage leading down. The walls bore tool marks, but not from pickaxes. These were small chips, like claws. Then I saw the floor. Depressions in the dust, forming a trail. Not a boot, not a hoof, all with 2 shorter ends that curved. I touched one. The edge was crisp, fresh. Connolly called me back. He'd found something near the pillar, a strip of pale matter, like skin. He held it to the light. Ridges, he said, like scales. Thomas told him to put it down. Just then, from deep down that narrow passage, we heard it. A soft clatter. Click, click, like stones tapping together. Sparrow heard it too. His eyes went wide. We weren't alone in that hill. Briggs ordered us deeper. He didn't care about the tapping. He cared about the claim. The next morning, Thomas led the push. I was right behind him. Inside, the air was warmer, thick. We reached a fork in the passage. Left smelled sharp, mineral, like ozone.
Right, carried a faint current of air. We chose right.
20 yards in, the passage opened up again. Another chamber, smaller. The floor was littered with pale fragments. I picked one up. It crumbled in my fingers, thin, brittle. Bones, but not from any animal I knew. Sparrow pointed to the wall. "Look," he whispered. "Vertical grooves, running floor to shoulder height. Smooth, evenly spaced. At the base of the wall lay a ring of stones. Inside, black residue. It looked like a hearth, but it was too small for a fire and too precise for nature."
Sudden, startling. Tap, tap. The sound came from below us. Louder now. Tap, tap. Then silence.
Briggs found a trough carved into the floor. He knelt down, touched the bottom of it. He lifted his thumb. "Red," he hissed. "Not dry dust. Wet residue. Fresh. Something had been here moments before." "Back," Briggs ordered. "Move. Now." We retreated. We sealed the opening with timber. Briggs told us to keep our mouths shut. "The company handles this," he said. But the hill had other plans.
That night, the tapping followed us home. It wasn't in the ridge anymore. It was under the bunkhouse. Tap, tap, pause, tap, tap. Patient, rhythmic, measuring us. We stood outside in the cold, watching the dirt. Sparrow was shaking. Alvarez was praying in Spanish. Then, a scrape, like a knife dragging across the bottom of the floorboards, right beneath our feet.
Days passed in terror. The men who hadn't gone inside the mine quit. They walked off the job, but we stayed. We were paralyzed. On the third night, the screaming started. It came from the tipple. We ran out, lamps swinging wildly. It was Eli Ward. He was running toward us, eyes wide, clawing at his own throat. He couldn't speak. He was choking on fear.
He collapsed in the dirt before he reached us. Thomas grabbed his brother, shook him. "Eli." Nothing. Eli Ward stared up at the stars. Dead. No blood. No wound. Just a heart, stopped cold by what he had seen in the dark. Thomas didn't cry. He just stared at the ridge. We carried the body to the tool shed. But as we laid him down, I saw the ground outside. New marks in the dust. Narrow gouges, leading right up to the camp. They weren't just watching anymore. They were hunting.
Night fell. We lit 3 lamps, creating a fragile triangle of light. Alvarez refused to sit. Briggs paced, clutching his pistol. Around midnight, the taps returned, but not just one. 3 separate rhythms. One near the creek, one near the drift mouth, one right behind the tool shed. They had us surrounded.
Thomas stood up. He looked at the shed where his dead brother lay. "Something moved beneath the floor," he whispered. "I feel it pressing against the boards." He walked toward the shed. I tried to stop him, but Briggs held me back. "Let him go," Briggs said. His voice was dead. "If Thomas is staying, he's already lost." Thomas walked inside. The door slammed shut. Then silence.
Terrified. Then a drag. Solid. Heavy. Across the soil near the creek. We turned our lamps, and we saw it. Crouched low, long limbs pressed to the dirt. Its skin was pale green, dry as parchment. Its head was narrow, elongated, with flat, dark eyes set wide apart. It opened its mouth, not to scream, but to hiss, a dry, rattling exhale.
It stood up, taller than a man. Briggs raised his pistol. Bang! He hit it square in the face. The creature didn't fall. It didn't even flinch. It moved faster than anything I've ever seen. A blur of motion. It struck Briggs, claws slashing his arm, sending the gun spinning into the dark. Alvarez screamed, "Run! To the creek!"
2 more shapes emerged from the dark, overlapping ridges on their chests, curved black claws. They weren't rushing us. They were herding us, pushing us away from their hill.
We hit the water. The creek was cold, slippery. Connolly carried Sparrow on his back. We scrambled up the far bank and looked back. The creatures stopped at the water's edge. They stood in a line, perfectly still, watching. They didn't want to eat us. They wanted us gone. Inside the shed,
The door shook. Once, twice. Then Thomas Ward was gone. We walked all night. Briggs was feverish, his wound smelling of poison. We reached the next settlement by dawn. Briggs sent telegrams to the government. He wanted the army. He wanted justice. But he never got it. Briggs died on the 4th morning. The doctor said his blood had turned black.
3 days later, a recovery team rode out to dry camp number 3. They found nothing. No bodies, no Eli, no Thomas, no Briggs. The buildings were empty, clean. And the mine entrance collapsed, sealed shut by tons of rock. The telegraph operator asked if we made it all up. I never answered him. I left Nevada that afternoon. Sparrow disappeared a year later. Connolly died young. I still dream about that lower chamber. The smell of old mineral air. The smooth trough carved into the floor. I know what we saw.
I know what walks beneath that Nevada ridge. And the scariest part isn't that they exist. It's that they let us leave because they knew no one would believe us.
If you enjoyed this story, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. The world is full of holes. Be careful which ones you look into.